Hello, as promised, I am looking at giving some feedback to each short story as far as responses to the literary analysis questions. So this comes from a student who read the short story Marigolds. So I'm going to just take a look at their answers and give them feedback. And then if you read Marigolds as well, that should help you figure out what you could do to improve your short answer responses. Okay, so the first question for the literary analysis was, how does the author develop the theme that everyone must deal with hardships in life? Okay, I'm just going to highlight that just for the sake of everyone understanding that this is the theme you're trying to prove. So how does the author help us understand that everyone must deal with hardships? Now, I need you to remember that a theme is a universal message. That means that it applies to more than just the characters in our story and more than just to us. Anyone anyone and everyone should be able to relate to this idea that hardship is a part of life. So, the answer that this person was responding to, so that was already given. The author uses details in the story to develop the theme that everyone has hardships. So we're looking for details from the story that develop that theme. So let's see how this person did. It says Collier develops the theme of hardships in life as something that some in America have known. Okay. Elizabeth says that depression that gripped the nation was new to us, for the black workers of rural Maryland had always been depressed. Okay, so this is their text evidence here. Let me comment. That depression that gripped the nation was not new to us, for the black workers of rural Maryland had always been depressed. Okay, so this is a really good example of a quote. Now, I'm not really sure, you would have to make sure that you explain that that's a detail. So I would probably change up. I really like how the author said Elizabeth says, so they've given their own words. So the detail, I would say, I would make it maybe more expressive so that it goes with detail. I would say Elizabeth shares the detail that, and then I would put the words from the text, that depression that gripped the nation was not new to us, etc. All the rest of what she said, okay? So then let's read the rest of it. Then she goes on to say, certainly not for the prosperity that was just around the corner, for those were white folks' words which we never believed. Okay, so these are really good quotes, but here's the thing. Does this detail express to us that everyone has hardships in life? It seems to me that the quotes that were chosen here are expressing more that this hardship is normal for Elizabeth because she's black, and that was what was not new to us. So maybe you could say, maybe we could rewrite this answer that everyone has hardships in life, but the Great Depression was especially hard on the black population, maybe. Or maybe you need to find some details that go along more with the idea that everyone has hardships. So, or maybe you could say, I think you need to add more explanation here. So let's just call it, we're going to add another comment, add more explanation about how the Depression, I think since it's the Great Depression, I do believe we have to capitalize it, how the Depression affected all people. Okay, so not only Elizabeth, but other people like the white folks and the black folks of this time. The black workers, the white workers, all of those people were affected. So make sure that you reinforce that idea. So choose more text, I would say, that supports the idea that all people had hardships of this time period had hardships. So that you need to go back and look in the text to find some more. I think this is good evidence you have, but I don't think it's the best or the most relevant to prove the idea that everybody had hardships. So I would use this particular portion you have in addition to something else that expresses that everyone was having a hard time. This supports all people this time period had hardships. Okay, so with this one, I would add more explanation and maybe look for more relevant commentary. But I want to say to this writer that you, as far as the way you expressed your information, how you included your own words before you put the quotation, that you did a very good job. The only thing that you could improve on is you can add the citation here. So this is the author's last name, and it goes after the quote. And so I'm going to put it here after believed, and that will give you an idea of what it should look like on your other choices. Okay, so let's take a look at the second question. How does the author reveal that Elizabeth has changed as she reflects on this time in her childhood? Okay, we need at least two pieces of text evidence. Here's the answer that we're trying to prove it. So the author, Eugenia Collier, uses internal dialogue, so the thoughts inside her head, to reveal Elizabeth's character change. Okay, in Marigolds, Collier reveals how Elizabeth has changed since her childhood by creating pictures of clarity. Okay, Elizabeth can remember. Okay, that's internal dialogue. That's good. That it was the beginning of the experience that in some inexplicable way marks the end of innocence. Okay, as time goes by in the story, Elizabeth, her brother, and three other kids enjoy going by Mrs. Lottie's old house, throwing rocks at her marigolds. Okay, I would stop here. This is a fantastic quote, but you need to follow this quote with why this quote goes along with change, with an explanation. So how does this quote show the change? Well, it says end of innocence, right? So I would probably hit on that part. Shows her change. So explain. When Elizabeth says that this time period or this event, I think she's talking about the rocks, right? Throwing at the marigolds, destroying them. Said that this event marks the end of innocence. She is referring to how this event caused her to mature, maybe. So make sure that you follow up your quotation with an explanation that goes along with this character change. Okay, let's continue on. You have more evidence here. As time goes by in the story, Elizabeth, her brother, and three other kids enjoyed going by Ms. Lottie's old house, throwing rocks at her marigolds. After having a rage and chanting madly, "Old witch, fell in a ditch, picked up a penny, and thought she was rich," Elizabeth didn't feel right about her decision. So the next time they got together, Elizabeth said, "I suddenly felt ashamed. I did not like being ashamed." At this moment, her childhood ways are being put away. Okay, good. I can tell that this person understands what's happening. I just think that you need to pull in some more explanation. So what is the change? So identify the change. Explain more about this change. What do you think caused Elizabeth to suddenly see that this is not funny anymore? So comment more on the change and explain how this quote shows her change. Okay. So if I were to score this person like on a score of 1 to 3, I would say it's a 2.5. Like, I can tell you understand. I can tell you have good text evidence. I think that you can get you can get all the points if you give a little bit more explanation. Don't be afraid to give more than one sentence of explanation. As a matter of fact, shoot for at least 2 per pieces of text. So if you have 2 quotes, then you should have 4, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 sentences of explanation, okay? Or about, may not be exact. Okay, I think that should help you with the rest of Marigolds, and let me know if you have questions.